Again, no worries. I won't do the same for twice. So, I hope this time I would like to deep dive a bit into what Kurt alluded to in the morning session. So how does the LLM mesh actually works within Dataiku? What are our latest features? What are the upcoming features? How do you create GenAI applications within Dataiku? But let's first have a look at what GenAI applications are actually, right? So we are building, or we have built our very own GenAI application into Dataiku, and play a little demo on how that works. So this is the Dataiku interface. If you open up the data set, for those who don't know, on the left-hand side, you have different steps you did, be it a prepare recipe or process, or be it any transformation you did to the data. So I'll play the video a bit. And as you can see, Dataiku's prepare recipe has now an AI prepare button, triggering a chat dialog. This is transforming the whole experience of DataFrame. So instead of identifying the steps that are required to change your data into the way you want, you just explain in plain English or in any other language what you want to do. The AI assistant does the work for you and suggests the right steps to end. You can either validate the steps or you can manipulate or change the steps. The steps are applied to your data and become part of your data preparation. So as you can see here on the suggested steps, you can add them, you can modify them, or you can accept them. Note that this is, and we talked about that, fully transparent with a human in the loop at all multiple points. So we can also tweak the steps before you grant them. And as you can see on the left-hand side, they are stored. Different steps are stored. You can still manipulate them. So hopefully that illustrated how you can interact with data and data in a completely new way. And be much faster at creating data prep steps within your data. So that's the GenAI application we built into Dataiku. Before talking about more capabilities, I'd like to quickly discuss a couple of key challenges on the way to enterprise GenAI. And a lot of people today already talked about these key challenges. Here, just our view of what's relevant. Choice and dependency, we already talked about it. Making you agnostic and independent from different LLM providers, be it open source, private models, or be it proprietary models. Using the relevant LLMs for your specific context. Next one is cost versus benefit. Again, balancing the large cost of LLMs and the need for LLMs against the potential benefits. In many cases, you will have competing LLMs that do a similarly well task, but they are completely different in terms of costs. Or you might not need an LLM, you can just apply machine learning model instead. So again, you don't always need an LLM to do a specific task, and weighing the cost against the benefit is critical. Talent shortage. So empowering more and more people, not only data experts, data scientists, data engineers, but also domain experts to actually create, validate, and interact with GenAI applications. Fourth one, output quality. I think we already talked about that. So making sure that you minimize bias, you minimize hallucination. How do you sort of control or interact or cope with a limited context? And last but not least, privacy, security, and compliance. So making sure that you are preventing data leakage, for instance, through your prompts, that what's coming out of your prompts is not offensive, is appropriate, and that you're complying with current and future regulation. For instance, already mentioned the EAI Act, but any other regulation specifically relevant, obviously, for the highly regulated industries. When we at Dataiku talk about these different approaches to GenAI, we talk about 4 different levels. So with Dataiku, building enterprise GenAI application follows our usual value prop. It is end-to-end. It is enabled for everyone, and it has the guardrails around it to make sure that everything you're doing is fully controlled. So how you can build up applications will happen, as I said, at various levels across groups. Some people will just use pre-built components. So you can imagine people in your business teams and analysts using out-of-the-box modules such as GPT, for instance, and then incorporate LLM-based functionalities. From there, you can move one level up, basically, using prompt engineering. Here, people like domain experts, but also analysts, Data experts, for instance, can build scalable prompts as part of an entire application. You can even go any further. After that, developers, experts can incorporate internal knowledge with retrieval augmentation, so the whole RAG approach. And then last but not least, you can also use advanced techniques such as fine-tuning or orchestration with a series of models. And again, this is applicable for a wide range of different people within the organization. Let's have a look at the first level. So again, with LLM-powered recipes and Dataiku, even no coders, as I said, can use LLMs in their projects. Simply add one of the recipes to your projects, and it's just a few clicks. You can see that here. And you take advantage of LLMs for text classification, for summarization, for emotion analysis, for sentiment analysis, for instance. So recipes are provider independent. You can see that there are a lot of different models you can choose from. Again, be it open source models or be it private proprietary models. So almost anybody in your organization can get started right away, take advantage of GenAI without having to code one line or even know how to use an API. Let's have a look at how this is facilitated within Data. So this is again the Dataiku interface, the flow we call it, so the common workspace where everyone is working together, be it an analyst, be it a domain expert, be it a data expert. And on the right hand side, you see different recipes. It can be code recipes, can be other visual recipes, but you can also see the new text analysis recipes. So with the new text analysis recipes, let's take a look at a classification task enhanced by LLMs. We can select our preferred LLM from various, as I said, public, private, or customized models. For our classification tasks, we put the labels we want. Again, here, we choose an LLM. We could actually see that at the moment, leave the settings as is, or we can improve our results. We can give the model some examples for context. So we go from a zero-shot approach to a few-shot approach. We can also select the option to get explanations for the classification. So our recipe can now categorize our content into blueprints without adding training data or rules. Basically, the LLM did the heavy lifting for us. Again, we're adding the classes. You can provide examples if you want. And in just a minute, we'll see the output. So if you remember the classes, you will see them in a minute. Let's press on. I forgot the data. So you can see the output data are categorized into the buckets we just entered, and we have an explanation from the LLM on why put a given article into a specific group. I think that was pretty simple. No code required. Just a bit of clicking. And again, this is fully open to everyone, and specifically for no coders, this is very much feasible. Now on to level 2, enterprise-grade prompts, so prompt engineering. We built prompt studios for data scientists, engineers, developers, and domain experts. We actually see this as a huge opportunity for domain experts to interact with LLMs. Again, domain experts will be the one validating the output, judging whether an output is accurate, is providing the quality, the level of insight that is needed, rather than necessarily pure data scientist or pure data expert. So here we're not talking about a single prompt to ChatGPT. These prompts can be applied to entire data sets and used in applications. So again, they must be robust. As you can see here, this is the prompt studio where you enter the prompt. You have some headlines, some examples. You have different prompts you can compare. But again, we'll deep dive into how this looks in Dataiku. So, as I said, Dataiku Prompt Studios. So I hope this is running now. Okay. So Dataiku Prompt Studios allows you to leverage a library of prompt templates, as you just seeing, or you use your new prompt template as you want, right? So again, reuse or build your own in the lines of what we are actually doing for all of you with normal use cases. You can, as I said on the left, track and compare different prompt designs using various models. Again, you can, as you can see in the top here, choose your LLM, be it again a proprietary one or a private one or a public one, or be it one that you created in your company yourself or fine-tuned by your company yourself. And again, this view is really configurable. So me as an administrator, I can choose who can actually see what kind of model and do what prompt. So I can allow that group to only leverage this list of LLMs, and I can allow that group to only use that set of LLMs. And you can validate the prompt in terms of performing, and you can also see how much it costs, right? So if I choose a model, starting from the beginning again, but if you choose a model, you can see the actual costs in here. So that prompt, for instance, costs me 1,000K, but I can compare a specific prompt across different LLMs. I can also compare different prompts across one LLM. So again, I have full transparency of the cost. I find some test cases or test results here. Again, I have a prompt. I will determine whether each topic of the following list of topics is covered in the financial news article provided. And I can see the first output of how this would be classified and a result. So again, very transparent in the way I can interact with different LLMs and be fully transparent with costs as well. Now on to level 3. So this is getting a bit more sophisticated now. That sometimes few short learning techniques are not enough. That's when retrieval augmented generation comes into place, or RAG for short. It combines LLMs with vector search on data sources to help LLMs be more accurate and be more up-to-date. So retrieval augmentation is widely used to create chatbots, for instance, or search applications powered by LLMs. Here, implementing RAG has the two main benefits. It ensures the model has access to the most current, reliable facts, and that users have access to the underlying sources. So again, I want to make use of knowledge, but I also want to be able to trace back where this knowledge, where these facts actually come from. So first, we need to break down the corpus of text, so your documents, into pieces we can use in our prompts. These pieces, called embeddings, are indexed and vectorized for efficient search. For the technical crowd here, this means encoding the semantic information into a numerical representation and storing it into a vector layer. So when a user asks a question, the semantic search in the vector store location locates the most similar and relevant pieces of text to the query. We then retrieve the relevant chunks and incorporate them into the final query submitted to the augmented LLM. So the underlying prompt template includes these placeholders for residual information and instructions to return a specific number of source citations as part of the final result. So again, being able to trace back where the information is actually coming from. I hope you now more or less know what RAG is about. Again, happy to provide more details here. Let's have a look at how this is facilitated within Dataiku. So just for context, here we are actually building an insurance contract explorer in order to speed up the customer support and turn available contract and other information into answers for a policyholder. You can imagine someone, insurance policyholder, is calling his or her insurance, and customer support needs accurate answers fast and wants to leverage internal knowledge, so the contract knowledge, for instance, financial information, some guidelines, whatsoever. Needs information to be accurate, and I need to be able to trace it back to a specific document or to a specific fact, to a specific type of information. First, we want to assemble a collection of documents. So here you can see some documents that will serve as the information you will acquire in LLM-based knowledge. So for instance, this might be policy, as I said, financial document, technical documents, you name it. If your textual data is in PDF or another document format, you can first apply the text extraction recipe to transform the files into tabular data. Next, we'll apply the embedded recipe to break your text into smaller chunks and then vectorize it. That's exactly the encoding I was just talking about. Dataiku allows you to choose the model. Again, choosing the model you use to create the embeddings, as well as the base LLM that you want to augment with this new knowledge. So 2 models you're choosing here, 2 LLMs. Here we'll select an offline model, a local model for this use case, since we want to be absolutely sure that our proprietary data stays private to our organization. But we could, if you want, for another context, for the same context, obviously choose a proprietary model. Let's see how these augmented models now manifest in Prompt Studio in the model selection menu. notice that the section for retrieval automated models, as you can see, now does. Okay, you can see it down there. You can see the retrieval and sources. So I'm choosing the model, and down here I'm actually seeing the sources of my result. So if we enter a prompt, even this generic one here, you can see that this approach not only provides an answer, but as I said, the underlying sources. And finally, to speed up time to value for your customer team, you can use Dataiku's pre-built web app templates to build a Q&A application. And we'll see that in a second, I hope. So this is how it could look like. This is pre-built. You can use this as a Q&A template to build something that your customer support team, for instance, is using, or any other team. Again, making your internal knowledge accessible to the people in your organization. And you can configure that template if you want to. Level 4, so the most sophisticated level, I'll just briefly touch upon it. This approach, or these approaches, typically require big amounts of data, high quality data, and significant investment into compute structure. So, for instance, you can incorporate external tools with an approach referred to as agents to orchestrate the underlying logic of these retrieve then read pipelines with blockchain, for instance, or you can use the React. So, although Dataiku's framework is equipped to do that and to help you explore these highly sophisticated approaches, most of the value lies within level 1 and 2 and 3. So we see most clients work on level 1 to 3, and it's more than enough for, say, 80-90% of the use cases. Obviously, you can go a step further if you want, but we talked about this. Kurt talked about the LLM mesh and the different approaches and how you can actually tackle GenAI, and we highly recommend to start with level 1, 2, and 3, and then maybe pivot into level 4. Another way you can accelerate your GenAI journey is to leverage our pre-built solutions. So those who know our business solutions for, let's say, normal use cases, we do have exactly the same for GenAI applications. So a wide range of domain and industry pre-built solutions that you can just plug and play and get head started. Before I finish my talk here, I want to quickly tell you what's next, both externally but also internally with Dataiku. So we've just presented a lot of stuff on GenAI. Kurt has presented LLM Mesh. Again, just to summarize that, we think that with Dataiku we can enforce a secure gateway to approve LLM services and maintain that on the train. We can ensure safe use by defining which data sets can be used with which LLM, again, private or public, and we can control costs. And just before I leave you, we are working on a couple of things. We are enriching our document intelligence and text analytics suite. We are improving our prompt engineering capabilities, for instance, and we are very much looking forward to your feedback on that one. And we'll integrate the LLM and GenAI models and services into our governance node. So with that, thank you very much. That's it.
Okay.